Ladies and gentlemen, a very, very, very warm welcome to this Future of Power program. We're so happy to be here in Visakhapatnam. This is our 31st Future of Power program here in India. My name is Anthony, and I will be introducing myself in a little more detail a bit later in the program, and I will tell you more about what you're going to be experiencing this evening. But first, for your entertainment, we have a series of very beautiful dances, and these dances are performed by a very well-known group here in your city. They're the much blessed and lauded Vizag Dance Academy. And this academy is now going to perform 3 dances. The first one, ladies and gentlemen, is a Ras Leela. Welcome to the Vizag Dance Academy.
मधुरं गायति वनमाली सुगंध सुमलय समीरे पुष्प 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 सुगंध परमहंस हृदयोत्सवकारी परमहंस हृदयोत्सवकारी परमहंस हृदयोत्सवकारी परिपूरित मुरळीरवदारी परमहंस हृदयोत्सवकारी परमहंस हृदयोत्सवकारी परिपूरित मुरळीरवदारी परिपूरित मुरळीरवदारी गायति वनमाली मधुरं 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 गायति वनमाली
Ladies and gentlemen, a Ras Leela by the Vishaka Dance Academy, and now the same academy will perform for you the Saraswati Sotram. Ladies and gentlemen, the Saraswati Sotram.
सरस्वती सहस्रनामस्तोत्रम् सम्पूर्णम्। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।
Ladies and gentlemen, that was the Saraswati Sotram by the Vizag Dance Academy. And now finally, for their third performance, we have the same academy, the Vizag Dance Academy, doing the Shiv Tandal. Thank you.
शंभो शिव शंभो स्वयंभो भो 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 शंभो शिव शंभो स्वयंभो। गंगाधर शंकर करुणाकर मामव भवसागर तारक। गंगाधर शंकर करुणाकर मामव भवसागर तारक। भो शंभो शिव शंभो स्वयंभो भो शंभो शिव शंभो स्वयंभो। परब्रह्म स्वरूप गम गम भूत प्रपंच रहित। निर्गुण परब्रह्म स्वरूप गम गम भूत प्रपंच रहित। निर्गुण परब्रह्म स्वरूप गम गम भूत प्रपंच रहित। निज गुह निहित नितांत अनंत। निज गुह निहित नितांत अनंत। आनंद अतिशय अक्षय लिंग। निज गुह निहित नितांत अनंत। आनंद अतिशय अक्षय लिंग। भो शंभो शिव शंभो स्वयंभो भो शंभो शिव शंभो स्वयंभो। धिमित धिमित धिमि धिमि किट किट तोम तोम तरि किट किट तोम। धिमित 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 धिमि धिमि किट किट तोम 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 तरि किट किट तोम मतंग मुनिवर वंदित ईशा सर्वदिगंबर वेष्टित वेशा नित्य निरंजन नित्य नटेशा मतंग मुनिवर वंदित ईशा सर्वदिगंबर वेष्टित वेश नित्य निरंजन नित्य नटेश ईशा सर्वेश सर्वेश शंभो शिव शंभो स्वयंभो भो शंभो शिव शंभो स्वयंभो गंगाधर शंकर करुणाकरा मामव भवसागर तारक भो शंभो शिव शंभो स्वयंभो भो शंभो शिव शंभो स्वयंभो शिव शंभो स्वयंभो शिव शंभो स्वयंभो शिव शंभो स्वयंभो
Ladies and gentlemen, the Vishaka Dance Academy. And now I would like to invite Rajyogini Kuldeep of the Hyderabad Center to come and make a presentation of a gift to all the members of the dance group. So please come onto the stage. Big, warm round of applause for the Vishaka Dance Academy. Very good. And Kuldeep Ben is here, yeah, he's coming. Very good. And a big round of applause for the Vishaka Dance Academy. Thank you so much. And so I'd like to invite Rajyogini Kuldeep Didi back onto the stage. Kuldeep Didi is in charge of the Hyderabad subzone of the Brahma Kumaris and also in charge of our retreat center there, which is the Shanti Sarovar Retreat Center. And now she's disappeared. I would like to ask Sister Kuldeep onto the stage to give you a warm welcome. Sister Kuldeep, come onto the stage.
ओम शांति। सभी लोग प्रेम से एक बार बोलेंगे ओम शांति। आज की सभा में सभी पधारे हुए मेहमानों का सर्वप्रथम हमारे परम पूज्य परम पिता परमात्मा का हम सब करतल ध्वनि से अभिनंदन करेंगे, जिनकी कृपा से इतना बड़ा कार्यक्रम सफलतापूर्वक हुआ है। और विशेष परमात्मा के जो विशेष रत्न हैं, जिन्होंने इस कार्यक्रम को इतना सुंदर रूपरेखा दी, जिनके आने से ही इस प्रोग्राम की शोभा बढ़ी, हमारी परम आदरणीय, परम पूजनीय, वंदनीय, आदरणीय संतोष दीदी जी, जो कि महाराष्ट्र एवं आंध्र प्रदेश के जोनल इंचार्ज हैं, अति व्यस्त होते हुए भी अपना अमूल्य समय दिया। उनका हम कोटि कोटि अभिनंदन करते हैं। और फ्यूचर ऑफ पावर विशाखापट्टनम में इस कार्यक्रम का आयोजन करने के लिए हमारे विशेष परम आदरणीय भ्राता निजार जुमा जी, जो कि अफ्रीका केनिया से आए हैं, जिनके संकल्प से पूरे भारतवर्ष के कैपिटल सिटीज में ये 30th प्रोग्राम आज विशाखापट्टनम में सफलतापूर्वक कल से कार्यक्रम चल रहा है। कल डायलॉग था और आज सुंदर सभा में हम भाई साहब का दिल से कोटि कोटि अभिनंदन करते हैं। अभिनंदन है। भ्राता एंथनी फिलिप्स कॉर्पोरेट स्टेज कंसल्टेंट ऑक्सफोर्ड से आए हैं, जो कि अभी स्टेज कोऑर्डिनेशन कर रहे हैं। उन्होंने भी इस कार्यक्रम के लिए अपना समय निकाला। सोचिए आप, विदेश से हमारे देश में आकर हमारे भारत की आत्माओं को जगाने के लिए ये आए हैं, तो उनका भी कोटि कोटि अभिनंदन है। साथ में यहाँ इस कार्यक्रम को इतना सुंदर रूप देने के लिए विशेष निमित्त बनी हुई हमारी शिवलीला बहन का बहुत बहुत अभिनंदन है। अभिनंदन है। और इस कार्यक्रम में विशिष्ट व्यक्तियों ने भाग लिया, सहयोग दिया, जिनको हम भूल नहीं सकते। मिस्टर वी प्रभु किशोर, चेयरमैन एंड मैनेजिंग डायरेक्टर ऑफ वरुण ग्रुप, उन्होंने इस कार्यक्रम में बहुत सुंदर स्थान दिया। उनका भी हम कोटि कोटि अभिनंदन करते हैं। मिसेस टी विजयलक्ष्मी, स्टेट को चेयरमैन किसान खेत मजदूर कांग्रेस, बहन जी आपका भी हम बहुत बहुत अपने ईश्वरीय विश्वविद्यालय की ओर से, फ्यूचर ऑफ पावर की तरफ से हम बहुत बहुत अभिनंदन करते हैं। मिसेस अनीता साकरू, नॉन एग्जीक्यूटिव इंडिपेंडेंट डायरेक्टर ऑफ साइसिल, आपका भी कोटि कोटि अभिनंदन है। साथ में सिस्टर मोरीन, जस्टिस ऑफ द पीस, राजयोगा टीचर, उन्होंने बहुत मेहनत से इस कार्यक्रम को इतनी सुंदर रूपरेखा दी है। मोरीन बहन का भी हम अभिनंदन करते। ये सब विदेश से आए हुए भाई बहने हैं, तो सभी विदेशी भाई बहनों के लिए जरा स्पेशल ताली बजाइए। 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3। और हमारे साथ साथ जो भी भाई बहने यहाँ पधारे हैं, विदेशी या स्वदेशी, सभी भाई बहनों का इस सभा में जिन्होंने आकर शोभा बढ़ाई, और इस कार्यक्रम से आप सभी जो लाभ लेंगे, आप देखेंगे कि भविष्य के लिए आपको कितनी शक्ति मिलती है। इसलिए आपको अभिनंदन भी है और आप सबको बहुत बहुत मुबारक है कि आपके विशाखापट्टनम का भाग्य उदय हुआ है। ओम शांति।
So I'd like to invite Kuldeep Didi to stay on the stage with me here, because we're now going to perform the candle lighting ceremony, and I'm going to read out some names of those who I would like to join us on the stage. Mr. Nizar Juma, Mr. Prabhu Kishore, Rajyogini Santosh Didi, Ms. Vijaya Lakshmi, Ms. Anita Sukuru, BK Maureen, Ms. Jasmine Botel, Mr. Klaus Peter, Dr. Joanna Quito, BK Shivlila, and BK Sheila, all onto the stage, please. And we will now perform the candle lighting ceremony. Welcome to our stage. Welcome. Nice to see you. Come. Don't worry about numbers. Don't worry about that. Come and join us. I'm getting one. Have you?
विश्व शांति की ज्योति जगाओ
Hold your candle up for
इस धरती के अशांति का अंधकार मिटाओ ज्योति जगाओ
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks. And so before they leave the stage, if I could invite our international guests to just please remain on the stage, because we're so lucky to not just have one or two, but three guests from overseas that I'd like to introduce you to. Dr. Joanna Quito, Jasmine Botel, and Mr. Klaus Peter. And Dr. Quito is from, well, I was going to say the United Kingdom, but she isn't from the United Kingdom. She's from the British Isles. She lives in the Isle of Man, which is exactly in the middle of the British Isles, but not in the United Kingdom. They're crazy, those English. And so, just give us your welcome, please. And
Namaskaram. Nenu nu chala santosh ishtananu Vizag ki vachi.
she speaks perfect Telugu.
So I've been in India for about a week, participating in the Future of Power, and I've really enjoyed meeting your leaders and meeting all of you. Thank you.
And Jasmine Botel, who is originally from Germany and now lives in Oxford, UK.
My name is Jasmine, as Anthony said, and I'm very, very privileged to be here with all of you today, and was part of the dialogue yesterday as well, which was an amazing experience. It's a great honor for me to meet all of you, because I come from a country of great scientific inventions, but also quite a lot of arrogance. But I would say that India is not behind in any ways, because it has the great speciality of humility. And humility actually is greatness, and India, with its rich ancestry, culture, and beauty, actually you cannot compare to a country like Germany. So I feel more at home here than actually in Germany. Thank you.
Very good. And Mr. Klaus Peter, also from Germany, but living in your India for the last 5 years.
Namaskaram, good evening. I love to be here, and I love to be in India, and I love to see this wonderful place and to enjoy this gathering together with you, and also yesterday the program. And I'm very happy that I can be here with you. I just came 2 days ago from the other side of India, from Gujarat, just to meet you here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks. Great. Thanks. And so now, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to invite Santosh Didi, he must be here somewhere, Santosh Didi onto the stage. And Santosh Didi is the zonal in charge for Maharashtra and Andhra Pradesh. So she has a big job. And she's come all the way here, and she would, if you come onto the stage now, and she will give you her welcome. Santosh Didi, welcome.
ओम शांति। आज के शुभ दिवस पर यहाँ पर हम सब एकत्रित हुए हैं। विशेष प्रोग्राम के लिए, जिसके लिए हम यहाँ पर सब इकट्ठे हुए हैं। कल भी सारा दिन फ्यूचर ऑफ पावर का प्रोग्राम चला, परंतु ये प्रोग्राम ऐसा है, सारी सृष्टि की पावर या भारत की पावर बढ़ाने के पहले हर एक व्यक्ति को खुद की पावर बढ़ाने की आवश्यकता है। कहा जाता है स्व परिवर्तन से विश्व परिवर्तन। तो यहाँ हमारे जो भी भाई बहन आए हुए हैं, अगर आज के शुभ दिवस पर ये संकल्प करते हैं कि हमें अपनी विल पावर को बढ़ाना है, और विल पावर को बढ़ा करके जो बुराइयां हैं समाज में से उसको हटाने के लिए अपनी शक्ति, अपना समय हमको जरूर देना है। अगर ऐसा शुभ संकल्प करते हैं तो ऐसा कहेंगे कि आज का जो प्रोग्राम है वो हमारा सक्सेस हो गया। और मैं समझती हूँ कल भी जिन्होंने इसका लाभ लिया उन्हें भी इससे काफ़ी फायदा मिला। और आगे के लिए हम सारे समाज को श्रेष्ठ और ऊंचा बनाने के लिए दृढ़ संकल्प करें, क्योंकि हम देख रहे हैं कि हमारे भाई बहन फॉरेनर 7 समुद्र के पार से यहाँ पर उपस्थित हुए हैं। भारत भूमि वापस शक्तिशाली बने, किस रीति से बन सकती है, भारत कितना महान है, इसकी बात ये जो बात है ये सारे भारतवासी जो है उनकी बुद्धि में भी रहे। क्योंकि जिन्होंने भी यहाँ आकर के प्रोग्राम किया, हमारे भाई बहनों ने, फॉरेनर्स ने, उनकी यही लगन है। और ख़ास हमारा जो वह भाई है उनको भी यही विचार है कि हम ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा लोगों के अंदर जागृति लावे, भारत की महानता जो है उस महानता का उनको परिचय करावे और खुद को महान बना करके भारत को भी ऐसा श्रेष्ठाचारी बनावे। तो जो भी हमारे भाई बहन आए हुए हैं फॉरेन के, उनके लिए तो मैं यही कहूँगी कि उनको इतनी जो लगन है वो अपनी लगन से अपने सारे काम एक साइड रख करके और भारत की उन्नति के लिए जो इतनी मेहनत कर रहे हैं, तो हम सभी की तरफ से उनका बहुत बहुत थैंक्स है। इसीलिए आप भी जरूर इसका लाभ उठाते रहेंगे, अन्य को भी इसका लाभ देंगे और आगे के लिए भी हम भी औरों को, जैसे इन्होंने अपना समय लगाया हुआ है, हम भी इस भारत को आगे बढ़ाने के लिए जरूर मेहनत करेंगे। ये हमारा दृढ़ संकल्प है। ओम शांति।
Thank you very much, Santosh Didi. Thank you so much. So now, ladies and gentlemen, we're coming to the main portion after all our welcomes and candle lighting. We're coming to that part of the program where we hope in the next little bit more than an hour to really inform you, to give you a taste of what this Future of Power program is all about. And it gives me now an opportunity to introduce myself to you a little bit more formally. My name is Anthony Phillips. I am very privileged and it's a great pleasure for me to be your Master of Ceremonies or Stage Secretary tonight, and I'm going to be introducing you to a number of personalities, and I'm going to be interviewing some of the people that participated with us in our Future of Power dialogue that we undertook yesterday with some of your top leaders from this city and region. There are going to be people here that explain much more about the nitty-gritty of the program, but in order to just start us off and to get you in the mood and to really understand what this is all about and why the Future of Power program has been initiated, I invite you now to sit back, relax, and enjoy for just 2 minutes a short video by someone I think you'll agree I do not have to introduce you to. So, enjoy.
There are two Indias in this country. One India is training at the leash, eager to spring forth and live up to all the adjectives that the world has been recently showering upon us. The other India is the leash. One India says, give me a chance and I'll prove myself. The other India says, prove yourself first and maybe then you'll have a chance. One India lives in the optimism of our hearts. The other India lurks in the skepticism of our minds. One India wants. The other India hopes. One India leads. The other India follows. These conversions are on the rise. With each passing day, more and more people from the other India are coming over to this side. And quietly, while the world is not looking, a pulsating, dynamic new India is emerging. An India whose faith in success is far greater than its fear of failure. An India that no longer boycotts foreign-made goods, but buys out the companies that make them instead. History, they say, is a bad motorist. It rarely ever signals its intentions when it's taking a turn. This is that rarely ever moment. History is turning a page. For over half a century, our nation has sprung, stumbled, run, fallen, rolled over, got up and dusted herself, and cantered, sometimes lurched on. But now, in our 60th year as a free nation, the ride has brought us to the edge of time's great precipice. And one India, a tiny little voice in the back of the head, is looking down at the bottom of the ravine and hesitating. The other India is looking up at the sky and saying, it's time to fly.
Your India. Back in 2009, a man who has been associated with the Brahma Kumaris for about 20 years became inspired to create the Future of Power program. This man, one of my favorite people, is the person I'm going to introduce to you tonight. This man, through his insights and his inspirations and his drive, is the person who's brought the Future of Power to you tonight and to the previous 31 cities in India. It is his vision that the Future of Power should cover all of India, that every possible leader from every strata of profession should be given a voice to dialogue and discuss the nature of the future of power for India. Now, this man is by blood, like you, an Indian, but he and his parents and grandparents have been living in Kenya. He is a Kenyan businessman. He is a Muslim. He is a very, very senior member of the Aga Khan's Development Foundation. He is also the chairman of 54 publicly traded companies. He is a very busy man. And you wonder, how is it possible for him to have the time to lead our team and to go all over India and do this over the last 4 years? He tells me that his main job in life is the future of power. This is what he loves, and this is what he believes in. He has done this in association with the Brahma Kumaris. It's a Brahma Kumaris initiative, and he does this from his long association with the organization. He's a man with a huge golden heart. He has unbounded energy, and it is my great, great pleasure to introduce Mr. Nizar Juma to you tonight. Mr. Juma, on stage.
Thank you. Anthony, before I talk to you, I want to introduce to you properly Anthony. Anthony introduces everybody, thanks everybody, but it's my job to introduce him to you. Anthony Phillips has come here all the way from England, especially to attend this program tonight and the program we had yesterday. He is a very important strategic corporate advisor, and he advises very large corporations like Nestle. And so we are delighted to have him here. Not only has he come all this way, but he has come at his own expense. And so we are delighted and pleased to thank him. Ladies and gentlemen, today everything is about India. What we are going to talk about, we are going to discuss, we are going to do everything. Because all our hearts are here in India. It is because we believe in the future of India. We know where India is going to go. And that's why we care for what will happen to India. Power is what the subject is today. It's something everybody knows about power. Everybody wants power. People who have lots of power want even more power. But important thing is, which kind of power do we want? Do we want to encourage? Because all definitions of power you will have thought about. What we are going to talk about is the different kinds of power that we want to encourage to be here in India. There is also world power. And until 2,500 years ago, world power was here in Bharat, as it was called then. But when it was here, we were ruled by benevolent kings who cared for their people, who cared for their country, and so they ruled with love. We call that soft power. What happened 2,500 years ago is that then this power went to other countries. Lots of countries, not necessarily in the order in which I'm telling you, but it went from here to Egypt, it went to China, it went to Rome, it went to Greece, it went to Spain, it went to Great Britain, and finally it is now in the United States of America. But in the process of this travel, power became harder and harder. So today the definition of power is how many guns and bombs and missiles we have and how much money we have. That is what power is today. And power is therefore imposed on people and on countries. Since 2007, we've all seen that there has been an economic and financial meltdown in the world, particularly affecting most of Western Europe and North America, even South America. This recession is a strong one. It's not something that they are able to get out of. Lots of countries in Western Europe today are bankrupt, close to bankrupt. And even the debt to their GDP ratio is now so high that they are not able to meet their commitments. Even America today has a debt of 212% compared to their GDP. So what we are seeing is that power is traveling back. It's coming back to the east, and it's coming back specifically back to here, to Bharat. Now, the question is this. There's no doubt that it's coming to Bharat. The question is, are we also going to be like the rest of the world, or are we going to make this power into soft power? Now, don't misunderstand me. If we talk about soft power, it doesn't mean that we have to become soft. It doesn't mean that we have to become subservient and weak. That's not what we are talking about. We cannot rule the world and become weak and subservient. We have to be powerful. But what we are talking about is we need to combine all other kinds of power and combine it with spiritual power so that we can bring it to a level which is acceptable to a country like Bharat. Bharat is one of the very few countries, even today, where our background still remains largely to be spiritual in thought and spiritual in action. Everything that we do in one way or another is connected with spirituality. Now I'm going to separate two things. There is religion and there is spirituality. There's nothing wrong with either of them, but I just want to separate the two, because religion is something that we are born with. We are told that's what you grow up with, that's the best religion in the world, all others are inferior. Fine. All religions say that. All religions eventually end in the same profound way. We are talking about spirituality. Spirituality means people like Mahatma Gandhi, Nelson Mandela, Mother Teresa. All these people were spiritual. They brought spirituality in their life. It didn't mean they become powerless. They were very powerful people. But because they brought spiritual thought and action into their daily lives, they became powerful, they became selfless. So here's what we are talking about. We are talking about becoming personally powerful. Each one of us needs to become more powerful. Because look at your life today. Every day it's getting harder and harder. Each one of us. We see that we have to work harder to stay in the same place. There are more and more demands on us from our families, from our work, from our businesses, from everybody is demanding more and more from us every day. We have to cope with this. It's becoming more and more difficult. The way to cope with all of those is to become internally more powerful, so that whatever comes, we are able to face this. When this happens to the individual, it will happen to the family, it will happen to the people who are in your environment and under your influence. And that will then duplicate into the whole country. This is the basis. Today, what I am going around doing is that what I have personally experienced 20 or 20 years ago, 22 years ago, Anthony told you, that I found spirituality and I brought it into my life. That changed me a great deal. So instead of becoming a very angry and dictatorial ruler, I became powerful nonetheless, but internally more powerful. I was able to cope with whatever came in the world. And I became spiritual. I brought lots of changes in my life as a result. Today, 20 years later, I am doing 20, 30 times more than what I did 20 years ago. And I promise you that this is entirely because of my spirituality, the way in which I lead my life. I'm not weaker. I'm more powerful. I live in the world like all of you. It's not that I have locked myself into a corner and become somebody who is a sannyas. That's not the case. The point is, sometimes people say that all this religious and spiritual talk should be separated from our normal work. You know, we should do this in the morning or one day a week when we have set aside for this, and the rest of the time let's get on with the work and not mix the two. Or sometimes people say this spirituality stuff is for old people and for women, not for real macho men. I'm telling you, for those of you who think like that this is something you need to reconsider. You need to bring it into your life because it's of benefit to you and it's of benefit to people around you, to your families. We need to make spirituality fashionable again. It's okay to be spiritual. Look at the kind of people we are talking with. Yesterday when we met with 40 people from all walks of life, some of these are journalists, some of these are business people, some of these are politicians, some are authors, some are musicians, cricketers, all kinds of people came together, and they are not ashamed that came together to talk about spirituality. It's okay. This is the beginning. In every city we have been to in the last 4 or 5 years, it's the same kind of response that we are getting. People are opening their arms to us and saying, yes, this is something we want. We want to make ourselves powerful from within because that will make all the influenced people around us also powerful. This will also affect our country. And so, you need to think about you first. You don't think about the country first. Think about you. What is the benefit to me? I need to become a little bit selfish. And then I have to see what is the benefit of that to my family. When I adopted spirituality, my children came to me and say, we don't know what you are doing, but whatever it is so good, please don't stop. Because they saw the goodness that's coming in me. It didn't make me weaker in any way. So, we are going to talk more and more throughout this evening about how do we practically do this. Because it sounds good. But we need to take steps and say, what do I need to do? If I decide today that I'm not going to get angry, that I am going to stop my ego, I'm going to not give sorrow to somebody, I am going to act with integrity in everything that I do. If you bring in any of these things in your life, you have become you've taken the first step to spirituality, to becoming spiritual. And it's okay to decide that. You don't need anybody else to make that decision. You don't need a meeting or a conference. You don't need to write essays about it. All you need to do is decide in your intellect, from today, from tonight, I will do this, bring this change in my life. India today is progressing by leaps and bounds everywhere in the world. It's not just that our GDP is growing. It's not just that. It is also, look at the number of top companies in the world whose CEOs are Indians. Pepsi-Cola is one example. I can give you hundreds of other examples like that. Look at the IT that we are controlling in the world. So many other things are happening. We are buying up companies. Amitabh Bachchan was reminding us of that. The kind of things that are happening. Everything Indian is becoming popular in the world. Indian music, Indian films, Indian food, Indian textile, Indian designs. All of these are signs of where India is going. We need to bring our self-esteem up. We need to realize what we are and not run after what foreigners are doing. It's time to stop and say everything that is happening out there is superior to anything that's happening here. It's not true. Foreigners want to know what we are doing. Foreigners come here to learn so many things. Some of them you've already listened to today, but there are hundreds like that. Today, meditation is being taught in universities, in hospitals, all over the world. It's not something new. They come here to learn it. But that's just one bit of the iceberg. So we need to bring our self-esteem up. We are important and becoming more and more important. And we need to believe in us. We need to believe in our future and make the change that is needed in us. You will hear what will happen when Anthony questions some of the people who attended the program yesterday. And later on again, we will talk about practical spirituality. What do I need to do to bring spirituality into my life? Thank you for listening to me. I'm very happy.
Thank you, Nizar. So now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the talk show. So I'm going to invite three of our esteemed guests from yesterday onto the stage, and I'm going to interrogate them. And the reason I'm going to do that is so that you can get a bit of an insight as to what happened yesterday and what we were talking about, and let's see where we go. We're going to spend the next half hour, 40 minutes talking with each other in this way. So, if I could please invite Ms. Vijaya Lakshmi onto the stage, please. Ms. Anita Sakuru, Mr. Prabhu Kishore, and Ms. Maureen Chen onto the stage to join me, please. Welcome to the stage. Come and sit down. You've got a seat with your name on it here. Hello. Okay, here we are. Thanks for coming. And relax. We're just going to try very hard to share a little bit about the kinds of things that we talked about yesterday, and maybe even travel further, because it strikes me that one of the things that came out of yesterday's whole process is that it was a good place for us to begin to really think deeply about these issues. And I'm sure that over the last 24 hours, you've been thinking about things, and there may very well be things that you would like to share, and we want to give you the opportunity to do that. So I'm going to just start it off very casually, really, just to say, to ask each of you, really, to just give your experience and any insights that you have that came from our meeting yesterday together. So, Ms. Anita, would you like to start us off? Just very briefly give your insights and experience from yesterday.
The experience was great. Just to sit quiet and keep thinking about the questions you gave us. One question I always pondered. As a parent, I didn't think about that question before I became a parent. But after I became a parent, I started thinking about what would be the one thing that I would leave my children? And coincidentally, you asked that question in some or other form. I can't remember the exact question. But
Yeah,
something like
I'll just repeat it. Was what is, I asked them to do a little bit of homework, and we asked the participants to write a letter to their children or grandchildren describing what their legacy would be to their children, and this is what Anita is referring to.
So it was very interesting that you asked that question, because that's one question that once in a week it comes to my mind. And whenever it comes to my mind, I always keep thinking that I don't want to say anything to my children. If I go, I go. I want my children to experience life the way it is offered to them, by God or by nature or whatever that is. Because that is the way I have experienced it. The best teacher in the world for me is my dad, who never advised me. I'm 44 years old. He never advised me. But I always think in my mind, what my dad would be thinking. He'll be sitting next to me, but I would be thinking in my mind. I won't ask him and he won't tell me. But that's the best way to learn.
I'm hearing in between the lines of what you're saying that it's your example that you would hope would be your message to your children, and it was your father's example that was his message to you. Is that right?
Not necessarily. I don't consider myself so big that my children should take me as an example. Really. I think that life is really beautiful, and it has so much of dimensions that it can offer for every human being. It's huge. The universe is huge. So they should tap into that energy and learn from life, learn from the opportunity that God gave them to be on the earth. I have lived life on my terms. They should also do that. Maybe something else is in store for them. They don't have to look at me as an example. So it was like homecoming when you asked that question. So thanks for asking that question in a different form.
Fantastic. Great. Well, let's go to Mr. Prabhu Kishore. Now, Prabhu, you're a big businessman, and I must admit I was quite amused by your story that you were telling, that you were quite, well, in the West we would say that you were a bit of a lad when you were younger. You were a bit of a tearaway, and suddenly you found yourself in charge of your family operation, and this was a huge wake-up call for you. And this is really how you started your connection with us and the group. So could you give us your insights and experiences from yesterday?
First of all, thank you very much for... I always believed that distress or difficult situations, conditions or happenings are always that opens the door for opportunities. Instead of looking at things negatively whenever there is distress or difficulty, if you can see there is some opportunity, there is a ray of hope in every problem. If you can grab that and work towards it, most of the difficulties you'll be able to surmount with a reasonable amount of success, and it will open doors for many new avenues. You'll be a more enlightened man, and that's what my belief, whenever you have gone through difficulties, particularly at an young age, as you said, I was a flamboyant or whatever businessman's son. I always thought I was big. So when I went into the business, I realized that we were in a bad shape. So that was a rude shock to me. And I used to think a lot, how do we come out of this mess? Then that fire in the belly, hunger, made me work towards betterment. And in the process, I feel that I acquired a reasonable amount of discipline, character, with a clear view of what I should do, what I should not do.
So you're talking about discipline and character. These seem to be kind of the things that are not easy to sort of teach as facts. These seem to be a little bit associated with what Mr. Juma was talking about, which is the soft power, which is really the power to do what I have to do, the power to face, the power to tolerate, which all tap into some deeper, we talked about this spiritual foundation. And so this clearly is important, whether it's manifest in as spirituality or whether it's manifest as these things you're talking about. Really, it's the same.
I agree with you. I agree with you. And another thing is, a lot of times, people, as you rightly said, as Juma said, we associate power with brutal power, word power. And, yep. But I realized lately that it's important not to hurt people, not to make them feel bad, yet one can be very firm and you can accomplish the same task. Somehow, many of us, or me, we got into a belief that unless we tell very strongly, using strong words to whether employees, business associates, family or friends or relations, that unless we say it in so many words, they do not understand, they do not do it. Somehow I believed in it for a very number of years. And lately I realized that's not right. You can accomplish a task by being firm and not using words which are not required. And I'm able to not to the extent Juma said, but I'm also able to accomplish by not being rude. So I clearly realized that word power, not brutal power, physical power, but that word power, usage of wrong words is not required at all.
Yeah. And so what we were talking a lot about was how do we develop this soft power, this power to be correct, but as you say, firm and clear and all these very positive things. So thank you. We're going to come back to this, but now let me go to the far side. Ms. Vijaya Lakshmi, I've got your short resume here. You've done amazing work in the whole rural development area. And so here we are. I don't know whether there are very many people from rural India here. You might say we're town folk. So there are a number of different Indias, and I'm sure that your mind and your heart is in rural India. And I would like to give you an opportunity to talk more about that a little bit later on. But just to begin with, if you could just overall give your insights and your experience from yesterday's event.
Thank you. There are a few people here from the rural area also who are attending this evening. Yesterday, at the outset, I liked the format. It was a dialogue based. It was not a seminar or a workshop or anything. And we were sitting with people. Most of them were very experienced. I myself sat down with MVS Murthy Garu and one Subbarao Garu, who are very old. They've seen a lot of life. So when we were sitting at one table, we were not each another's confidants. So when you came up and asked questions, we had to come out and express our feelings and things. Then I felt that yes, we can come out and talk with one another, not necessarily that the other person should be a confidant, because of the dialogue base of the thing that was going on. So that was enlightening. And next, when we heard about the soft power that Nizar Juma was talking about, I initially, if you categorize leadership into like philosophers, planners and executionists, I look at myself as an executioner. I want to do things very quickly. And leading a lot of people in the rural area, trying to bring about a revolution and bring about growth where there is agrarian crisis presently in India. Even as he had mentioned earlier, in 2009 when the world was reeling under recession, India could still maintain a 5% growth in GDP. But it did not happen with the agriculture sector. It was a meager 2 to 3%. And in some states it was in the minus also. So in the years 2003 to 2007, there were about 2 lakh suicides in the farming community. So all this, I felt that yes, this is the area to work. This is the area where the welfare economy of our country, or the democratic economy, the democratic state that we have today, the leadership, the policies that are being done, there is a discrepancy over there. From the Bhagavad Gita, we have a saying, Yada yada hi dharmasya, glanir bhavati bharata, abhyudhanam adharmasya, tadatmanam srujanmaham. So whenever there is an erosion in dharma, dharma here is an ideal of the best social and political institution that has to be established in a state. Dharma is paramount to the state. The state may be a democracy, a dictatorship, a benevolent dictatorship, or whatever. But this dharma, that leads the whole society. It talks about the right and the wrong. So when India was a world power, as Juma was saying, 2,500 years ago, and there were benevolent kings, then dharma prevailed. It was the paramount thing that prevailed, and the kings followed dharma. Now there is an erosion in dharma. So what are the instruments with which we construct this dharma back? That is truth and non-violence again. So truth and non-violence, truth we say satyameva jayate. Truth only triumphs. At the end, it is the truth only that triumphs. And when we come to non-violence, it is ahimsa paramo dharmaha. That means ahimsa, that is non-violence. It is the highest order of dharma. And when we say param, it is also paramatma, the superior.
Yeah.
So if the soul has to go to the superior realm, that is the paramatma, then the mode is ahimsa once again. So when we are diverting away from truth and non-violence, then here is adharma. So the leadership that is governing in the name of democracy or welfare state or whatever we call ourselves, there the leadership, the policies that are being taken are not in balance. The hard power that has taken over, the hard power has taken over, and that is the reason why 50% of the Indian population, which depends on agriculture, that is suffering. So suffering of 50% of the population does not mean that the country is shining. The 5% GDP or the 10% GDP that was there a few years ago, and we were calling that India is shining, that becomes a little pale.
So this is fantastic what you're saying, because what I'm hearing you say, actually, if I put it into the words of Nizar Juma, is that actually up until now, the poor people, the people in the rural areas who are committing suicide, are doing it because they've been suffering under hard power.
Yes, exactly.
And so this emergence, re-emergence, we hope, of soft power should, and we hope will, alleviate this to a great extent, because automatically it will take away corruption, bring fairness, bring proper opportunity, etc. So this is
just one last word. That is, When we're talking about the soft power coming into the picture here, that's spirituality. Yesterday, after the dialogue,
Yes.
that we went home and started thinking about, I felt that, yes, I'm Russian. And maybe I'm a little immature because of my age also. So when we say we're talking about hard power, we're talking about violence in the form of crime, war, bombs, or whatever. So violence has another form also, and that is denial. When you deny something to a certain section of the people, they have the right to live and prosper. And these rights, because of the policies or the planning of the leadership, because of their policies, if there is denial here, then I say that it is state-sponsored violence.
Yes, it's because people are forced.
Yeah.
Where there is force,
Yes.
basically it's false.
Exactly.
It's hard power. Let me just stop you there for a moment because I want to give everyone a chance to talk and have a proper dialogue. I know that you've been a Brahma Kumari for over 35 years. You have huge experience. Huh? From Australia. You're a Justice of the Peace. I can't think of anyone better to be a Justice of the Peace than you. You have huge experience all over Asia, and you've been teaching people all kinds of things about spirituality. You've been living the spiritual life. Nizar Juma was talking about spirituality. We've mentioned the word spiritual. Can I ask you just to give all of us a definition that we can all get a hold of what exactly spirituality is?
Om Shanti. Yeah, to me spirituality is to understand myself, because I am spirit. And although a lot of people would say or accept that they are a soul, it seems that not many people are really thinking about deeper about what that really means. What is a soul? And so to me, spirituality is to really discover who I am. And my understanding of this aspect of the soul is that I am a being of peace, of love, of happiness, all these intrinsic values of trust, of non-violence. But what does it mean? You know, if we don't understand the meaning of these things, how can we live them in our life? And so to me, spirituality is to experiment and understand deeply and from experience and from, you know, real reflection, what is peace, what is love, how to trust in a world like we have today, how to uphold that.
Yeah. And so it's not just a question of understanding and knowing, but it's a question of having the power to live it. Yeah? And so spirituality has got something to do with getting the power to do it. Okay. Can I give you the opportunity to just share your insights from yesterday and your experience?
What I've attended most of the dialogues because I've been working with the Future of Power here in India for the last few years. This is the first time I've been in the talk show, though. And what I particularly found interesting was our discussion about spirituality and how it often brings up feelings of guilt and judgment. And I think this is often what is distancing people. And that's where we, I think, need to go a little bit deeper to understand what it really means to be spiritual. Because often we think it, like Nizar was saying, to become a sannyasi and to sit in a corner somewhere. But how does it really come into expression in our everyday life, in business, in politics, in science, in medicine?
Yeah.
But to me, the main way to bring this is to create a connection so that I can take myself onto a higher level.
Connection between you and me, or what?
Well, that follows,
Okay.
actually. That follows, but I find this Raj Yoga, the connection of the Atma and Param Atma, to be the method to be able to do practically what I would like to do. I was an atheist from childhood, and I practiced Buddhism. I was looking for something where I could be a better person but not have to get involved with God.
Yeah.
But what I found is that although that study and practice was very good, I didn't get power.
Right.
Whereas with this connection, I could change what I wanted to change. Not completely, but I'm on the path.
So the idea is to find the way to make the connection, and then through that connection you get the power to do everything that we're talking about. Because talk's cheap, but doing it is a little bit more difficult. Thank you very much. Can I come back to you, Anita? Because you shared a secret. Well, it may not be a secret, but you shared a piece of information with me yesterday, and all of us actually, that you are, I think I'm quoting you correctly, that you are an aspiring politician. Is that right?
Correct.
So here are some of your potential constituents, and this is an opportunity for you to sell yourself on them, except I want to ask you a very specific question about your aspirations as a politician. I would like to ask you about your insights and what you think the ramifications are of this whole idea of soft power relative to politics, relative to leadership, social leadership in your nation. Because I don't think I'm letting any secrets out that there have been cases of corruption and funny business in politics in this country, and in fact all countries. So where does soft power, and what are your thoughts about all this?
We're talking about soft power, and soft power not necessarily in politics, but soft power everywhere. So I was in business before coming to politics.
You were, and not just business, you were a successful entrepreneur,
Yes,
weren't
I was
you?
a successful entrepreneur, and I ran non-profits as well. Even in business, I think 2 or 3 years back, the CEOs of Fortune 500 companies met at a place for a retreat for 5 days and just talked about nothing about business, but how to make this world a better place. What I'm trying to tell you is the impact of soft power is felt in the business world. The business people, so-called the entrepreneurs, are feeling that the world cannot continue with this kind of hard power that we are seeing. Mr. Zuma has just talked about guns and physical and political power, but there is a power that all of us don't realize, which is the business power, the money power. The world is controlled by 10 or 15 corporations. They have so much of money, more money than countries put together. So the world is controlled by these business people and business organizations. So even they realized that there need to be soft power more than the hard power, and somehow the transformation should come within the leaders to also care about the world.
Yeah.
See, if they don't change to soft power, the world is going to become a very bad place and very violent place to live in. And the violence that Vijayalakshmi Garu talked about, which is, for lack of better words, taking advantage of the nature, not caring about the farmers that are producing the produce for us, and so on and so forth. The list goes on. So my journey of soft power and my impressions on politics, or the real political power, is we need leaders in this country and across the world who are very self-aware, and the self-awareness that Sister Maureen talked about also starts with a question. The journey starts with a question. Questioning to self. What do I need? How do I make myself better? And also it travels through what I call as inspiration. All of us need that inspiration. We got to be inspired by someone to make that connection that she's talking about. For me personally, Gandhiji was my inspiration and continues to be my inspiration. And it's not just because he's the father of the nation, father of our nation. I love the message that he gave the world about truth and the way he experimented with truth. So to me, the way I look at soft power or spirituality is the journey of the truth. The journey of the truth is really multifaceted, which is truth to understand the sufferings of the world, truth to understand ourselves, truth to understand and apply it in the field of politics.
Yeah.
As far as I am concerned, so far I'm quite happy, because at least in this journey I'm self-aware. I know exactly why I want to be a politician. I know why exactly I want the political power. The need to serve, the need to make a better impact, the need to give people what they deserve. It bothers me that, yesterday I was telling, it bothers me that there are so many inequalities, that some people have so much to eat and some people do not have much to eat to cover their basic necessities. So there is a lot of corruption and other things in politics, but that doesn't bother me at all. For me, the goal is very clear. I need to be elected, I need to bring certain transformations, I need to bring certain amount of jobs, I need to bring certain amount of tranquility, which gives me peace. So my impression is that if all political leaders become very self-aware, and if they latch on to what is called as soft power that you're talking about, they'll be very happy through the journey. The happiness is not there. Today politicians across the world are very unhappy because they don't know how to handle the power. But whereas if you are self-aware and if you make the connection with your own self, if you make the connection with the truth, the journey becomes very enjoyable. So far I have enjoyed the journey, and I hope to enjoy the future journey as well.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Thanks. So can I turn to you, Prabhu Kishore? You were talking about your experience as a businessman and how you realized that the rough, tough way is not necessarily the best way. You had a kind of a, when you came out of your adolescence and your young adulthood, you had a light bulb experience due to hardship, and you quite rightly said that hardship can be a great advantage because it can drive you forward and clarify the thinking, etc. Can I ask you to give a message, if you like, to the next generation? Because, I mean, you're a successful man, and by definition, I'm sorry to say this, but it means you're yesterday's man. And because tomorrow's people aren't you and I. You know, you've got grey hair. It's the young people. It's the people actually that probably aren't even in the room. But this is on television. And so, can I give you the opportunity just to have a quick think about this, and what would be your message to the next generation, especially because clearly India is going to be a real mover and shaker in the business world. What's your message to the next generation of business people, the young ones, especially as it relates to this soft power?
Thank you very much for making me aware that I am in the sunset. So,
you're not at the sunset, but it's the young guys who are next.
What I feel bad, I've been working for 35 years. There's one bright India, going global, buying global companies, best in the world in IT. And today I see in the newspapers that most likely an Andhra guy might take over as the CEO of Microsoft, right, which is #1 corporation in the world. The other side, honestly, it bothers me when I see in marriages, ostentatious marriages, etc., the poor children, famine children, eating from the thrown away leaves from the marriage. It does bother me quite a lot. It comes into my eyes when I'm wasting something. So there are two extreme situations, extreme conditions in this country. That's driven by a variety of reasons. So many things have happened which many of us know, but in any case, so it's time that yesterday one of the gentlemen was repeatedly saying, just listen to your inner voice.
Yeah.
He was repeatedly saying, listen, each one of us should listen to our inner voice And inner voice never guides us on the wrong path. It always takes us in the right path. So please listen to your own inner voice, inner soul, whatever you say. I don't think we do in our daily life at all.
Yeah. And this is very consistent with what Sister Maureen was saying.
Yeah.
Discovery of the inner voice, power, and then listen to the inner voice.
We are so caught up in our rigmarole, everyday things, we don't listen to our inner voice. We don't even address in our inner voice. Forget about listening to it, we don't address anything. So therefore, I at least to myself, I have been telling every day, hey man, just do what is required. Do not, we have a dharma, we are in business. We have to be ambitious, but there is a small line between ambition and greed. There's a very thin line. As long as you are peddling things, working with ambition, a priest should have ambition, Brahma Kumari should have ambition, you should have ambition, doctor should have an ambition. Otherwise, everything will become stagnant.
Yeah.
But the moment ambition trespasses into greed, we end up doing a lot of wrong things.
Yeah.
Many, many wrong things. That is exactly, I think, what is happening in India.
And it's this development of soft power that will give us the power to be able to discern and decide and actually make ourselves not be greedy when the temptation is there.
Yep, absolutely.
Fantastic.
So, I can only say as a message or just a suggestion that all of us need to do just what we are expected to do. We don't have to do anything more than that. Everybody has got a job to do, a teacher or a student or a doctor or a businessman. We all have a job to do. If we can do our job sincerely with discipline and character, I repeat, discipline and character, and go home, you are doing a great service to Bharat Mata.
Yeah, fantastic. Great. Thank you so much. And we talked yesterday about duty, and I think that's what you're talking about now. It's duty. Understanding my duty, doing my duty, fulfilling my duty. Thank you very much indeed. Can I just come to you just one more last time, Vijaya Lakshmi, because I would like to give you the opportunity to just speak to us a little bit about the connection between soft power and your work in rural areas and what your vision is for rural India, especially as it relates to this development of soft power and the relevance, the practical relevance of spirituality.
As we sit here today and we discuss about spirituality and all the number of discussions that you have already had, I think the wagon has started. The spiritual strength that India was once is once again being awakened. The Brahma Kumaris, they have, when I was talking about dharma and it has to be re-established, and when God says, I mean in our religion, the Bhagavad Gita says that whenever there is adharma, then He manifests Himself to bring it about, back again. So I feel this institution like the Brahma Kumaris, that is the right institution to bring back Dharma onto all its four wheels. So that soft power which we require today, which can understand that denial is violence, therefore such policies or such futuristic vision has to be taken up, which will include, when we say inclusive growth, India is shining, the manufacture sector is going about properly. There is a good amount of growth, though it is taking a backstage right now. So when it grows, the very idea, when the reforms were taken up in India, when the economic reforms were taken up in India, the very idea was that the industry has to be pushed and the trickle-down effect would reach the rest of the middle and the lower classes.
Yeah.
But unfortunately over 2 decades, And because of the interference of soft power, the hard power, and the ambition and beyond the limit greed of the corporations, they are also playing a huge part in directing the policies. So these have sort of brought it down in such a way that the trickle-down effect has not reached the other 50%, the millions of masses. Once we bring about these corrections are very much possible. The planners are there, and it starts with the individual, as we were told yesterday. And Nizar Juma was also telling, the spirituality has to start from the individual. So these people who are manning the policies, these people who are trying to overtake these policies and get things done their way, if from there, from those individuals, if this, whatever is happening here is happening with them, and they can go back and start thinking that maybe I have crossed the limits, and maybe I should contain myself, where the corporate social responsibility does not remain to be just a word, or whatever is being spent does not go back to them, but it goes back to who has to actually receive it. If that's how the policies are tuned, then definitely the development that I'm visualizing would come back and the Dharma would be re-established.
Great. Thank you. Thank you very much. And so just finally, before we go, because we've run out of time, but I would like to just come back finally to you, Sister Maureen. You're an international person. You see not only India from the inside out, you've been working here for the last 2 or 3 years, but you see from the outside in as well. What are your thoughts on what the main obstacles are to the establishment of real soft power? I mean, everybody here, you all agree that soft power is a good thing, don't you? Is it good? Okay, so why aren't we all using soft power? What's the reason? What are the obstacles, Maureen?
I think one of the things is what Nizar Juma was saying, is that India seems to be looking too much outside and adopting things from outside, whereas countries overseas, as he also mentioned, are taking up meditation and doing a lot of work around soft power. And but in countries outside of India, it's a very new concept. Whereas in India, it's so intrinsic. And so if Indian people could just realize and recognize the power of soft power. Because, I think there has been a little bit of a misconception that Indians are soft, and so, sometimes they think, oh, that's being weak. But it's very powerful, as, Nizar's example, how he's doing 20 times more with soft power. And I have been exploring this and, experimenting with this on myself. And soft power is very effective. So if the Indian people realized the effectiveness of soft power, it wouldn't take much, because it's already there.
Yeah, this is such a good point, that probably the unique qualification of India within this context of it taking over its position as a world power is its intrinsic spiritual foundation. And so the idea isn't to develop it, it's to realize it. So I wish to thank all of you, my participants here on stage with me. Please give a big round of applause to them. And I'd like to invite you back to your seats. Thank you so much. Thanks very much. Thank you. Thanks. Great. So I hope you enjoyed that little dialogue. And I hope it gave you a little bit of an idea of the kinds of things that we were talking about yesterday. One of the things that we spoke about just now, and Sister Maureen was very much talking about, was this whole issue of not just talking about being spiritual, Not just talking about being good and all the right things to do, but actually doing it and being it. And what was clear from our conversation was that what will allow us to achieve what we're talking about is if we can tap into this power, this spiritual power. And of course, the Brahma Kumaris are a spiritual university, and they teach this whole process of tapping into the spiritual power. And Mr. Nizar Juma, 20 years ago, was an ordinary businessman. He bumped into a Brahma Kumari in Africa, and he learnt from them. And he has actually been spending the last 20 years not only as a student of the Brahma Kumaris, but also a teacher. And having the kind of mind and intellect and character that he has, what he really wanted to do was make this kind of Brahma Kumari speak, this mumbo-jumbo of spirituality, into something really tangible and practical that people like me and you can actually understand. And so I'm going to invite Mr. Juma back onto the stage, and just for a few short minutes, he's going to share with you some of his tips for actually living and using spirituality in practicality in our life. So if I could invite Mr. Juma back onto the stage, he will share with us. Thanks.
Earlier on, I told you that we need to decide today, what is it that we will do from tonight, from tomorrow. So what I'm going to present to you now is something that we can get hold of. And I'm using some of the things I myself am using. And this is I call it self-mastery, because I am the master of myself. So I can decide what I want to do. I'm in charge, so I need to take stock of my life, because I need to decide what I will do with it. So, I need to make New Year resolutions today, on the 1st of February. Is it the 2nd of February? We need to start making New Year resolutions from today. Are you prepared to do that? Yes? Not loud enough? Yes, good. Now, there are three axiomatic, true things that we need to first look at. Everything is cyclical, is in a cycle. Think about anything and it's cyclical. Day and night, birth and death, seasons, whatever you think about, even in business, we look at S-curves, which are cyclical. You introduce a new product, it goes into an S-curve. If you don't innovate, you've lost it. What happened to Kodak? Where is BSA motorbikes now? Where is Raleigh bicycles? They are gone because they did not innovate. So everything is cyclical. We need to get into that cycle, birth and death. Then everything is logical. There's no magic out there. You know, we don't believe in magic. We are either pure business, pure scientists, pure politicians, pure whatever we are. We don't talk about magical things. So everything is logical. It has a logical explanation. I need to find what that is. Third, everything is just. There is nothing like injustice. In India, this is very easy, because we understand the philosophy of karma. If I give you sorrow, I have to take sorrow back. I give you happiness, I take happiness back. I donate money, I got money back. It's simple, very simple. The only thing is that this is limited not by time. Briefly, Moni touched on this. I am a soul. So I take births, I take bodies. It's not that the body has a soul, the soul, has a body. Is that complicated? It's not that the body has a soul, the soul, has a body. So I take a body and I leave a body. Right? When I leave a body, I'm dead. I take another one. And the body enters the womb in the 5th month of pregnancy. That's when the soul is entered. So that means there is no injustice. I can't blame anybody for what's happening to me because it's my past karma. However, I cannot change my past. I can change my future. Depending on what my karma is going to be from now, I can decide what my future quality is going to be. Past, I have to accept it. So if I have to accept it, does not mean that I become reticent and say whatever is happening is my karma, so I can't do anything about it. You still can. You need to change. But at least I stop this blame game. I don't blame somebody else. It's because of you this happened and you this happened and that. I forget about that. Okay? So no blame game. Now, we need to decide on an action plan that I can do for myself from today. All right? Tonight. You agree to that? First one, I need to control my thinking. Very simple. There's a lot of rubbish we put inside here. Everything that comes in. I imagine negative things. You know, there are thoughts that come into my mind. They are vicious, negative, wasteful, neutral, and positive. We go through these stages. Okay? I need to see what I am thinking. If it is wasteful, I need to stop thinking. If it is negative, because it happens like this. Somebody tells me this has happened. Then I say, oh my God, this has happened, now that will happen, now that will happen, that's going to happen. 99% of those things don't happen. But it's happened here. You are already depressed. Somebody says, what's happened to you? How come you are depressed? You say, I don't know. I was okay a little while ago, but I'm depressed because you made yourself depressed with your own thoughts. So we need to control the traffic of our thoughts. Every now and again, I need to sit down and say, what am I thinking about? Is it vicious? Is it negative? Is it waste? Is it neutral? Or is it positive? If it is negative or vicious or any one of these, I need to change them so that all day long I'm not thinking about rubbish. We call that traffic control. Traffic of the thoughts that are going through my head. Stop anger. The only one that burns when you have anger is you. Nobody else cares. When you are angry, people that you are angry at have already switched you off. They are not listening to you anymore. They are just saying, the dog is barking again. They don't listen. You think about how many things that you do in anger are successful. There'll be zero. Nothing is. And the only one that's burning from inside is you, nobody else. Okay? So you need to stop anger. Can I come back? Hello? Meditate. If you have not learned to meditate, this is the time. Meditation is about bringing the number of thoughts which are going into your mind to a very few. If we are talking, like right now, the number of thoughts that go into your mind are between 10 and 15 thoughts a minute. When you are angry, the number of thoughts increases. 25, 35, 40. If you are stressed, if you have got fear, the thoughts go up to 50, 60, 70. When the number of thoughts go to so many, your intellect is not working anymore. That's why when you are angry, you don't find the words, because the vocabulary is gone. There is no intellect. When you are stressed and you are thumping tables, there is no logic. You know you are right. Nobody can change you. Because the intellect is gone out of the window. There is no intellect anymore. So know, particularly if you are a serious person, that when you are angry or when you are stressed, your intellect is no longer there. Number of companies in Japan don't let you go to an important meeting driving yourself, because you get stressed. By the time you get into that meeting, your intellect is not working. Okay? Now the opposite is true. The less the number of thoughts, the more powerful is your intellect. Okay? We all want to be powerful. So we need to bring that number of thoughts from 10, 15 down to 8, 4, 2, 1. When you only have that one thought in your mind, whatever that is, your intellect becomes super powerful. You are now focusing on what's important. And so, meditation is that process. Is to bring, you cannot stop thinking. If somebody tells you now, stop all thoughts coming into your mind, you can't do it. You just need to focus on a fewer and fewer thoughts. That one thought is what you need to bring it down to. Even if you don't meditate, you need to practice this. How can I think only of one? If people say I can multitask and do 5 things at the same time, they are spoiling all those 5 things. We all have limited amount of time. Spend that time, limited how it is, but to focus on one thing at a time. That will make you very powerful. Don't give sorrow. This is again, because we come back to the account of karma. It is the third principle of Newton. Every action has a direct and opposite reaction. You give sorrow, you will have to take sorrow back. Whether it's today, or in 2 years, or 20 years, or 2 lives from now, you will still have to pay back sorrow. So think about your actions that you are not giving sorrow to somebody. Okay? Because that will come back to you in one way or another. Don't take sorrow either. I can say, listen, I'll not give you sorrow, but also don't give me your sorrow. I want to build a wall on that. To say, that's not something I want to do. I want to become independent. When it's time to take your sorrow, I want to become a self-sufficient island. Don't want to take sorrow. Stop the blame game. This is really, really important. Because I am responsible for all my actions. Therefore, I need to stop saying, somebody did that to me, therefore this happened. I need to get this quite clearly in my head. Who do I blame? I don't need to blame anybody. The more responsibility I take for myself, my actions, it's clear that I can move forward without going everywhere and saying it's your fault and your fault and your fault. We know people like that, right? The first thing when something goes wrong, who can I blame? Straight away. Okay? So that's something you need to guard against. I don't want to do that. Schedule personal meetings with yourself throughout the day. This is important. I need to spend time with myself. Every now and again, I need to think about what I'm doing. Am I at a crossroads? What am I thinking about? What actions am I taking? Am I working in the wrong direction with the wrong people? What am I doing? I need to take stock. Sometimes we are so busy that we don't give ourselves time to think, to look at what we are doing. Think about your own life. Think about all those lists you are doing. How many things do I need to complete in one day? In your diary, put one. I need to sit with myself for half an hour, 15 minutes, whatever time it is. I need to spend with myself to look at what I'm doing, what I'm thinking, against who I'm planning, what are my actions. This is something which is a must. Your focus does not last more than 90 to 120 minutes. It does not last. And if you continue and say, I sat in one meeting for 6 hours, you are no longer effective. You are just sitting, doing nothing. 90 to 120 minutes, do something. Then go for a drink of water, go for a comfort break, go for a little walk, whatever you do. But you need to replenish your energies. I need to manage them better. And so this is something I'm telling you, practical things that you need to do, that I do with myself, with my everyday life. It's important. Every day you need to do something selfless. Think about it. Can I do something for somebody or someone that has no selfish reasons? It's not for money. It's not because I will get something in the newspapers. It's not something that is for any reason. I just want to do it because I feel good about it. Is that possible? Can we do such a thing? Every day, just one thing. One thing I need to say, today I did this. So that at the end of my day, I can sit and look at my day and say, that made me feel good. Because a lot of these things are about feeling good about myself. The whole thing about bribery and corruption is that I don't feel good about it. I feel I did something that was not right. So I need to do something that I feel, okay, that made me feel good. Finally, this is something that many of you may or may not agree with. Control your overuse on technology. We are all doing it. More and more and more we are dependent on technology. Someday we might have a day without technology. What will we do? We now and again need pads and paper and pencils. We need to do multiplications in our head. We need to bring those things back because our younger generation is no longer capable of doing. 40% of children coming out of high schools in America cannot read or write. 40%. It's technology. because we can survive if we have computers. I have 1.5-year-old grandchildren that run iPads better than I can. I promise you, they are 1.5, 2 years old. It's scary. So every now and again, we need to take stock. These are my 10 points which you need to think about, but you need to decide which of these I will start doing from tomorrow. It's a good feeling just to decide. You can decide a very little one and say, okay, I'll not give sorrow from tomorrow. I will have a meeting with myself every day. Just whatever, little things that you decide. Today we decided this is not something that we do in the Future of Power programs. Today this is something special that we wanted to bring to your attention, something about practical. We do this in lots of other forums, but in the Future of Power we thought this is something we need to start doing because we need to talk about practical things. Do you think it's a good idea, what you're listening? These are the 10, just to refresh your memory about what you have to do. Item number 3 is something that we are just going to give you a taste. It's a 5-minute taste of meditation just after I finish, so that you get into what meditation is all about. And the rest of it you can manage. There is one other picture in here. Good luck with that, and I hope that you enjoyed it. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, just go straight on.
So now, ladies and gentlemen, I think we should all have a bit of a practice of this funny thing called meditation. Would you like to have a go? Because what we're going to do is organize. I always think the best way to think about this is to experiment. So if you like now, for the next few minutes, we're going to experiment with a meditation experience. So sit back and relax. Keep your eyes open. We're going to be playing something on the screen for you to look at. And listen to the words initially, and then allow yourself to go to the center and then up. So enjoy the next few minutes of meditation.
Om Shanti. Welcome you all to a beautiful experience in which we will be able to explore our inner soft power. In this, first of all, we need to have a complete awareness of our own self, of who am I? Am I this flesh and bones body? Am I this name and designation? Who am I then? I am an eternal point of light, which is residing in the same body, and I am the master of the body. I own this body, but I am different from the body. So, try to sit in the consciousness of the inner self as a pure point of light. And now we need to have a complete awareness of the Supreme Almighty, who is ocean of peace, ocean of power, ocean of bliss, ocean of love, ocean of purity, who is ever changing, who is ever constant. And let me have a beautiful communion with Him. Now, slowly detach yourself from your surroundings. and sit in the awareness of a beautiful shining star, peacefully radiating the vibrations all over, and connect yourself with the Supreme. And receive the vibrations of peace and power. He is showering upon us all His love and light.
We've come to the end. Such sweetness. It's been lovely having you. And now, just finally, I would like to invite Shivlila Didi, who is the main coordinator of the Brahma Kumari centers here in Visakhapatnam, and she will now come onto the stage to give a small vote of thanks and make some final announcements. Shivlila.
శాంతి. ముందుగా ఈ ప్రోగ్రాం చేయడం కోసము ఫ్యూచర్ ఆఫ్ పవర్, ఈ ప్రోగ్రాం చేయడం కోసం పవర్ ఇచ్చినటువంటి ఆల్మైటీ అథారిటీ, సర్వశక్తివంతుడు పరమాత్మనికి ముందుగా నేను ధన్యవాదాలు తెలియచేసుకుంటున్నాను. తర్వాత మనకి సంతోష్ బెహెన్జీ, మహారాష్ట్ర ఆంధ్రప్రదేశ్ యొక్క జోన్ ఇన్ఛార్జ్. సంతోషి మాత నిజంగానే అందరినీ సంతుష్టపరుస్తూ వారి షెడ్యూల్ ఎంతో బిజీగా ఉన్నా కానీ వారు మా కోసం సమయాన్ని కేటాయించి వచ్చారు. వారికి కూడా హృదయపూర్వకంగా ధన్యవాదాలు తెలియచేసుకుంటున్నాను. తర్వాత నిజార్ బాయిజీ, వారు విదేశీ అయి ఉండి కూడా మనలో ఆధ్యాత్మిక శక్తిని నింపడానికి ప్రాచీన రాజయోగాన్ని అభ్యాసం చేస్తూ వారి అనుభవంలో మీకు ముందే చెప్పి ఉన్నారు, 20 నుంచి 30% యొక్క శక్తిని పెంచుకొని వారి కార్యాలు కూడా అంతే రెట్టింపుతో చేస్తూ మనకి మెడిటేషన్ యొక్క పవర్ని నిజ జీవితంలో ఎలా తీసుకురావాలి, అన్ని కార్య వ్యవహారాల్లో విజయం ఎలా పొందాలో మనకి చక్కగా అవగాహన కలిగిస్తూ మొత్తం ద ఫ్యూచర్ ఆఫ్ పవర్ ప్రోగ్రామ్కి సీఈఓగా ఉన్నటువంటి నిజార్ జుమా అనే గారికి కూడా హృదయపూర్వకంగా ధన్యవాదాలు తెలియచేసుకుంటున్నాను.
కుల్దీప్ అక్కయ్య గారు మీకు స్వాగత వచనాలు తెలియచేశారు. వీరు ఆంధ్రప్రదేశ్ యొక్క సబ్ జోన్ ఇన్ఛార్జ్. మనకి హైదరాబాద్లో గచ్చిబౌలిలో 250 మెంబర్స్ యొక్క రిట్రీట్ సెంటర్ ఉంది. దాన్ని కూడా సంభాలిస్తూ అనేక బ్రాంచెస్ని సంభాలిస్తూ మా సిస్టర్స్ని చాలా మందిని సంభాలిస్తున్నటువంటి అక్కయ్య కుల్దీప్ అక్కయ్య గారికి కూడా హృదయపూర్వకంగా ధన్యవాదాలు తెలియచేసుకుంటున్నాను. తర్వాత మనకి విదేశీయులు వచ్చి వారి యొక్క ఎక్స్పీరియన్సెస్ చెప్పారు. మీరు మోరియన్ సిస్టర్ని చూశారు, విదేశీలా కనిపించారా? నిండు చీరతో కట్టుతో పక్కా ఇండియన్ లాగా కనిపించారు. సో మోరియన్ సిస్టర్కి కూడా హృదయపూర్వకంగా ధన్యవాదాలు. వారితో పాటు యాంటోనీ గారు వచ్చేసి మనలందరినీ కూడా మధ్య మధ్యలో ఎప్పటికప్పుడు ఎంపవర్ చేస్తూ ఉన్నారు. వారు కూడా స్పిరిచువల్ లైన్లో ఉన్నారు. ఉంటూ కూడా చూడండి ఎంత జాలీగా ఈజీగా ఉన్నారు. సో స్పిరిచువల్ లైన్లో ఉంటే చాలా మంది ఏమనుకుంటారు, చాలా కూల్ కామ్ సాఫ్ట్ అయిపోతారని. కానీ మీరు చూసారు కదా వారిలో ఎంత ఉత్సాహం ఉల్లాసం కనిపిస్తుందో. సో బ్రదర్ యాంటోనీ గారికి కూడా హృదయపూర్వక ధన్యవాదాలు తెలియచేసుకుంటాం. కాగా జోనా సిస్టర్, పీటర్ బ్రదర్, జాస్మిన్ సిస్టర్కి కూడా ఐఎమ్ వెరీ వెరీ థ్యాంక్ఫుల్ టు యూ. ఎందుకంటే వీరు విదేశాల్లో ఉంటూ కూడా మన భారతదేశం యొక్క ప్రాచీన రాజయోగాన్ని అభ్యాసం చేస్తూ వారి యొక్క ఉద్యోగ వ్యాపార వ్యవహారాల జీవితంలో గృహస్థ జీవితంలో ఏ విధంగా వారు విజయవంతంగా సుఖశాంతులతో వాళ్ళ జీవితాన్ని గడుపుతున్నారో మన ఎదురుగా బెస్ట్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ అయి నిలబడ్డారు. ఇక మనం మేల్కోవాల్సిన సమయం అనుకుంటాను ఇది. వారి ద్వారా మేల్కున్నామా? సో అందరి తరపున వారికి ఒక్కసారి మనందరం కలిసి మనల్ని మేల్కొల్పినందుకు హృదయపూర్వక ధన్యవాదాలు. ఇంకొంచెం గట్టిగా థ్యాంక్ యూ సో మచ్. కాగా మీకు చూస్తున్నారు, ఒక ప్రోగ్రామ్ చేయాలి అంటే చాలా టీం వర్క్ అవసరమవుతుంది. సో ఈ ప్రోగ్రాం కోసం ఫ్యూచర్ ఆఫ్ పవర్ టీమ్ మెంబర్స్ అయినటువంటి నీతూ బెహన్, నితిన్ బాయ్, శ్రీరామ్ బాయ్, సూర్యమణి బాయ్, ప్రకాష్ బాయ్, రాజేష్ బాయ్, అర్జున్ బాయ్ వీరంతా కూడా చాలా చాలా సహయోగాన్ని ఇచ్చారు. ముందు రోజు ఒక 3-4 డేస్ ముందే వచ్చి మాకు అంత గైడెన్స్ ఇచ్చారు. ఎందుకంటే ఇది 2009లో హైదరాబాద్లో స్టార్ట్ అయ్యింది. ఇప్పటికి ఇది 31 ప్రోగ్రామ్. సో ఇన్ని ప్రోగ్రామ్స్ చేయడంలో వారు నిరంతరం కృషి చేస్తూనే ఉన్నారు. మన విశాఖపట్నంలో మనందరిలో ఆధ్యాత్మిక శక్తిని రాజయోగం ద్వారా మేల్కొల్పడానికి వాళ్ళు చేస్తున్న కృషికి వారందరికీ కూడా మరొక్కసారి మనందరం ధన్యవాదాలు తెలియచేసుకుందాం. అదేవిధంగా నేను ఎలక్ట్రానిక్ మీడియా, ప్రింట్ మీడియా వారందరికీ కూడా విచ్చేసినందుకు హృదయపూర్వక ధన్యవాదాలు తెలియచేసుకుంటున్నాం. ఈ టాక్ షోకి శోభను తెచ్చినటువంటి ప్రభు కిషోర్ అన్నయ్య గారికి, అనితా సాకుర సిస్టర్కి, విజయలక్ష్మి సిస్టర్కి కూడా హృదయపూర్వక ధన్యవాదాలు. చాలా చక్కగా మమ్మల్ని ఇన్స్పైర్ చేశారు మీ యొక్క ఎక్స్పీరియన్సెస్తో. అదేవిధంగా కల్లవాణి ఆడిటోరియం యొక్క స్టాఫ్కి కూడా బాగా కోఆపరేషన్ ఇచ్చారండి వీరంతా మాకు. వీరికి కూడా మా హృదయపూర్వక ధన్యవాదాలు. కాగా మీకు ఇప్పుడు ఈ ఎల్ఈడి లైట్ సౌండ్ యొక్క ఫెసిలిటీస్ ఇచ్చినటువంటి కైలాష్ బ్రదర్కి, రమేష్ బ్రదర్కి కూడా హృదయపూర్వక ధన్యవాదాలు. కాగా లోకల్ సెంటర్స్ ఏవైతే ఉన్నాయో రైల్వే న్యూ కాలనీ, కనక మహాలక్ష్మి టెంపుల్ స్ట్రీట్ మెడిటేషన్ సెంటర్ అండ్ అక్కేపాలెం మెడిటేషన్ సెంటర్స్ యొక్క బ్రదర్స్ అండ్ సిస్టర్స్ యొక్క కోఆపరేషన్ చాలా దొరికింది. వారందరికీ కూడా హృదయపూర్వక ధన్యవాదాలు. కాగా ఈ యొక్క ప్రోగ్రామ్ అంతా హోల్డ్ చేసినటువంటి సెంటర్ మహారాణిపేట సెంటర్. మహారాణిపేట సెంటర్లో అన్ని డిపార్ట్మెంట్స్ యొక్క కోఆర్డినేటర్స్కి, టీమ్ లీడర్స్కి, టీమ్ మెంబర్స్కి మీరందరూ తప్పకుండా ఒకసారి ధన్యవాదాలు తెలియచేయాలి. ఎందుకంటే వాళ్ళది చాలా కోఆపరేషన్ ఉంది. ఇంకా లాస్ట్ బట్ నాట్ లీస్ట్, మీరందరూ రాకపోతే ఈ ప్రోగ్రాం ఇంత విజయవంతమయ్యేది కాదు. సో చాలా 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 ధన్యవాదాలు మీ అందరికీ కూడా. అన్నిటికీ మించి అందరూ 15 మినిట్స్ బిఫోర్ ఉండే ప్రయత్నం చేశారు. సో థ్యాంక్ యూ సో మచ్. కాగా మీరు మెడిటేషన్ ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్ చేశారు కదండి. మా యొక్క బ్రాంచెస్ ఉన్నాయి. ఇది ఒక అనౌన్స్మెంట్. మెడిటేషన్ సెంటర్స్ యొక్క బ్రాంచెస్ యొక్క అడ్రసెస్ మీకు బయట వెళ్తుంటే పాంప్లెంట్స్ ఉన్నాయి, వాటిలో ఇస్తారు. ఈ ప్రాచీన రాజయోగము ఎవ్రీడే 45 మినిట్స్ మీరు ప్రాక్టీస్ చేయాల్సి ఉంటుందండి. ఫ్రీగా నేర్పిస్తాము. సో మెడిటేషన్ సెంటర్స్ యొక్క బ్రాంచెస్ అడ్రసెస్ మీకు పాంప్లెంట్ ఇవ్వడం జరుగుతుంది. టైమింగ్స్ కూడా దాంట్లో మెన్షన్ చేయడం జరిగింది. మార్నింగ్ 6 to 12 మధ్య ఎనీ 45 మినిట్స్, సాయంకాలం కూడా 5 to 8 మధ్యన ఎనీ 45 మినిట్స్. 3 days కోర్స్, 7 days కోర్స్ ఫౌండేషన్ కోర్స్ ఉందండి. దాంట్లో మీకు స్ట్రెస్ని ఎలా మేనేజ్ చేయాలి, డిప్రెషన్ ఎలా దూరం చేసుకోవాలి, హెల్త్ని ఎలాగా పెంచుకోవాలి, ఇలా డిఫరెంట్ టాపిక్స్ మీద సిస్టర్స్ మీకు గైడ్ చేస్తూ మెడిటేషన్ ప్రాక్టీస్ చేస్తుంటారు. థ్యాంక్ యూ సో మచ్. థ్యాంక్ యూ సో మచ్. ఓం శాంతి.
We give you the future of power. Good night, and may you have God's blessings. Voilà.